Welcome, everybody, to my YouTube channel. Today, I have a special guest here, and it's also about a special book. And I know there's a lot of books on Amazon. It's almost like you cannot see the forest from all the trees anymore. But I think this book is something unique because, first of all, it's it's 600 pages or something. We will talk about this in a moment. And it was written by Dirk Nellens. He's a longtime human design practitioner, teacher, and analyst with a strong academic and therapeutic background. He studied social anthropology at the London School of Economics and also holds a law degree, if that's necessary or important for you to know. His academic training deeply informs how he approaches human design, not as a belief system or rigid technique, but as a non ethnocentric lens to understand human diversity and awareness. Dirk studied human design closely with Ra and was present during Ra's lectures or also the later years, including the 2010 Ibiza course on dying, death, and Bardo. And it was during this period that Ra explicitly encouraged him to write about his own lived exploration of the system rather than repeating or, always the same that Ra was saying. Dirk, that we will see in a moment, is a reflector. He has a 4-6 profile. We will look at his chart in a moment and works very much from the position of observation, reflection, and experiential depth rather than instruction and prescription. And his works integrates human design based on the original teachings of Ra, but also social anthropology, Enneagram, Wilhelm Reich's work on muscular armouring and defense mechanisms, and therapeutic and child development perspectives. So Dirk's stance is pretty clear. Human design is something to be lived and not just learned. And therefore, now I would like to welcome you, Dirk. Thank you very much for finding the time to have this little interview. I'm very curious how you feel about your book release and if there's something right away you would like to share.
Okay, first of all, thanks a lot for having me here. That's very generous of you. Um, so, how I feel about the book release? It's been a very long journey. This writing this book, and yeah, I feel obviously very happy that it's out there, and now like a whole new journey starts. No, it took me And it was challenging for me to bring out my own perspective. I was very afraid. I've always been afraid of just sharing like, okay, but this is how I see it and how I feel it and how and even though we know through human design that we can only have our own perspective, still it was challenging. It was challenging to bring it forward. Um, and it's like it's really my own perspective, and in that sense there is also nothing really to defend about it. It's just the way I see things and experience things, and I hope that it can enrich the perspective of other people or exchange or whatever it may be. So we'll see.
Yeah, totally. And I know how hard it is, the process to even write it, to really sit down and write something, to externalize it into words and letters and then that it's structured. This is not easy, This is not something everybody just easily is doing. And then when it's done, oh, the feeling, it's
Yeah, and like we saw each other not so long ago in Ibiza, no? And I
yes,
was at your lecture on purpose through the quarters, no? and
exactly.
which I really enjoyed. Like it was very nice and refreshing in a way, and there also, like, it just dawned on me how um yeah, like how strongly influenced I am through the positioning of my sun and all this, no, through the quarter that I'm born in, which is initiation, to really look at human design um, from the perspective of what is really initiation. It is basically the soul coming back into the body. You know, that's
Exactly.
the witness returns. But through this whole endeavor of this book, I I started seeing and exploring that actually it's a very, 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 very delicate process that takes, from a Saturnian perspective, it takes about 7 years. Huh? Um, and I was very much influenced by a Brazilian writer called Evania Reichert, and she's a neo-Reichian therapist, and she has a great term for that period. She said it's basically what is needed is a psychological womb. You know, you have to
Yeah.
be very, very gentle with children and very sensitive with children in the unfolding of their natural body intelligence, and so that they can slowly, slowly, slowly start trusting that intelligence. And from my perspective, human design is all about that. You know, how to trust the body and its intelligence.
Yeah.
And what I explored in the first section of this book, which takes about, I don't know, something, takes more or less half of the book, is that in that journey of, you know, the soul coming back into the body, there is like each center has a specific function in each stage of development, and that has like a it offers something when we use or, you know, benefit from human design in educating our children, because we can see how they stand in each stage of development, huh?
Yeah.
And we can also use it for our own deconditioning process. You know, it's like you can see like, okay, I went through all of these stages of child development where all my conditioning or a significant amount of my conditioning lays, and I get to see like, ah, okay, this is how I stand in each center during each stage, and also this is how my parents stood in it and how they distorted it or overpowered me or this or that and the other. And for me, the, this also, I mean, I put a lot of accentuation on the conditioning process, because for me, human design is a journey of disidentification,
Mhm.
you know, and not a journey of identification, which very often is something we tend to fall into. No, I'm a reflector and I'm a 4/6, and it's like I tend to refrain a lot from going there too much.
I understand this. I do a similar thing. I like to, when it's really about being professional, it's about I see through the mechanic of a mental projector. For
Yeah, I
example,
want.
it feels also better when I say it like this than I'm a mental projector. You know, it's because it's not labels. It's not really labels or categories or castes or something. But yeah,
Yeah, and in some ways, because I lay out the order of how I see the centers coming to the foreground in the developmental process of a child, there is there is a statement somehow in the book in the first section, and the statement, which is implicit, but it says like, honoring your strategy and inner authority is an incredible process of deconditioning, because actually your strategy and inner authority, they lay at the very pristine and early moment of development. It starts in the womb. So forget about um, you know, standing in this position that says I'm following my strategy. It's not possible. It's not possible. It's like basically what it's saying is like you decondition, you unpeel what is not you, and you fall into your strategy and authority.
yeah, that's beautifully said. Fall into. That's the
Yeah,
chain
it's
authority.
just something that is natural, no?
Yes, yes.
It's sometimes people have this tendency of thinking that strategy is something you do in order to get somewhere, but that's really not the case. It is more like the intrinsic law of your operating system in some ways, your energetic operating system.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I laid out in the first section, and I as an anthropologist, I also put forward that human design is basically a very actual anthropological lens for our times, and that it's also a very non-ethnocentric anthropological lens, no, which is actually the first one. And, that it's not some white guy looking through a white system, and human design wouldn't exist if we didn't have Indian culture or Chinese culture or even Latin American culture or the medicine wheel or all these things, no? So
Yeah.
and also there I was surprised to see that um what, like, we refer sometimes that the building blocks of human design are, Kabbalah or chakra systems or I Ching, this and that. And I recognized also that actually you my assumption is that Ra only mentioned those systems that he could see or that he knew. And my experiences
Mhm.
also brought me to see that there are aspects of the Enneagram that can be correlated to human design. So I put it in the book. I said, like, hey, listen, there is certain things about the Enneagram that you can see in the centers. So
Okay.
yeah, it's been a very creative like endeavor in a way.
I know Enneagram, but I never really digged into it. Like I know people, especially some other projector friends that really study stuff. They are fascinated by this. There is one little graphic, maybe this shows us a bit of it, uh, but I have no idea. I just know that I did some tests three times, two times, and number six came out in wing of I don't know something. But yeah, I really have no idea.
The first place where I started using it in a way was basically because the Enneagram gives us the potential to see nine different enlightened perspectives on life. And I recall that Ra was sharing when he had his experience with the voice that that each center had a different voice and a different dimensionality and feeling. Like the whole thing was like, I don't know, 3D, 5 4D, whatever, how we experienced it, but it was, incredibly engaging on a whole cellular level in a way, in the way that he explained it. And it's through the Enneagram that I started seeing, like, okay, like basically the Enneagram, through its holy ideas, that's what it's called, it's like enlightened perspectives on life, offers us also to understand a deeper dimension of each center.
Okay.
So for example, the sacral is really about seeing that life expresses itself uniquely and archetypically in each manifestation,
Mm.
or that and the solar plexus, for example, allows us to see that there is incredible strength in recognizing that we are witnessing consciousness within emotional waves. And so each center has something to, like, there was a possibility for me to dig deeper into a dimension of centers
Mm.
that we tend to overlook when we just,
Totally. Totally. Yeah. If to play alone, yet alone, just the information of the centers, this can be some years of study to really dig into this and not just, oh yeah, my solar plexus, this and that. And it's really about what does it mean specifically for you and in context to your reality? That there is a definition or there is no definition. And if there is no definition, what activations can happen or can't happen? What is the conditioning that happened or will happen? I mean, there's so many aspects to the only one center that I really like to go back again and again to the centers, you know? When I like to teach the basic stuff again and again because there's the most magic somehow. Yeah, for sure, you can go down and then you go into this rave psychology and blah, but that's for me just too much mental fodder, you know? It's like, yeah, okay, let's masturbate mentally. Hey, we are know so much, but at the end, well, it's not
Yeah.
practical, no?
I also found this. I also found this that after like I'm like 23 years into human design, and I went into all
Cool.
kinds of depths, and now it's just really about the surface, and to recognize that it's just that it is just a matter of positioning. Okay, I'm positioned receptively. Like me and you, we are positioned receptively in so many dimensions of life, and that receptive positioning, that serves as a guide. Like I called the subtitle of my book Human Design as your inner GPS for awareness.
Yes.
And that's just what it is for me. It's like a GPS. Okay, this is how I stand in here. Let's remind myself I stand in it like that. You know, I'm standing receptively. Okay. And then it guides me, you know. And that's how human design for me stays a revelation. It came as a revelation into the world, and in my personal life it has to stay revelatory, and that's only possible if we don't cling to understanding, you know, if we don't cling to knowledge.
No.
But if we take it as a I'm calling it a GPS on an inner process of awareness. And individuality only comes forward through awareness. There is an equality between individuality and awareness. They go hand in hand. Yeah, there is genetic individuality. We all know we're different genetically, but when it comes to living individuality, undividedness with existence, that's where the word comes from. That then it only comes through awareness. Human design is of help on a journey of awareness. And in the second half of the book, I'm I took upon me a little bit this invitation of back in the day. You must have heard it, like, why don't you write your own I Ching? Ra used to say this, and Marianne Winiger had done it and gave a course on it, and obviously Richard Rudd has done it, and there are some other people who like some Spanish people like Mirupo, who was actually the first person who did my reading in Spain and Barcelona. And and I took it upon me to do the same exercise, to go through all of the gates, to look at the headings of the gates, and to stand still with it, to reflect upon it, and see, but what does this really mean, and what does this really mean, and what is the configuration of the hexagram, and how does this look like if we take it through the mind, and how does this look like if we take it through awareness. And so I ended up doing this for all the gates and all the channels and the circuits, and really looking at, yeah, like making a clear distinction between how do we address it through the mind and what's the potential to address it through awareness.
Yeah.
Because I found that in Ra's teachings, those two dimensions, they cross over a lot, and they're not really. I'm a little bit more like, one thing is this and the other thing is that, so let's separate them a little bit. So that was also a very nice journey. A lot of insights came about, through that journey.
I just see there is maybe also for the people, it's nice to see the table of contents, and it's like you go on and on and on. Like there's a lot to read. And now, when I saw how many pages, I was like, Jesus Christ, like how you sit down and write so many pages. And you said how I don't know how many years you worked on this? I forgot. You said you shared on
I think
Ibiza,
about
but
5 years I was into it.
yeah, it's that's such a long process. And I mean, for sure, awareness type, not energy type. It just takes time. But yeah, you have everything here, all structured, as you said, different perspectives, from the four layers of being, and then suddenly we go to the centers, and then at the end there's also the channels, as yeah, based on the circuitry. Circuitry is such a fascinating topic. I mean, wow, it's really nice. I really like it to talk about this, to see the differences of what it means in our society.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's where for me it's actually very alive as an anthropological lens. And
Yeah, I
we
understand.
we should always be aware of that. I'm just saying something, no, like you have the thinking about my father, for example, he has the 4426, no? A male Caucasian guy from Belgium who ends up, studying medicine is going to express that in a certain way. A woman is going to express it differently. In the Amazon, they express it differently. So let's not draw any conclusions on all that stuff, no?
Yeah.
Like let's keep it. Uh, and when I went through circuitry and gates and all this thing, sometimes I had this sensation that human design might be beneficial in this world of AI, that
Why?
it can really offer something, uh, like that. The book is called Understanding Our Energetic Architecture. I really wanted to use that title because, first of all, we have a tendency to think that human design has something to do with birth data, but that's only if you want to know how you sit in the architecture.
Mm,
So there's a first layer which has to do with, hey, we have to understand like there is an energetic architecture for humans and it functions in a certain way. And you can upgrade it if you feel like it. No, you can move from a paternalistic, mind-oriented stance in life towards a body-oriented stance in life, a female stance in life, embracing life. And
yeah.
we are at the cusp of that crossover, and it is tremendously important, I think. And that's why I thought, like, yeah, maybe it's not. It has something maybe to offer in that world.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first to understand what a car is before driving a car maybe makes sense, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Totally,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I asked how practical is your book, but then we got a bit away. So maybe you can answer
Oh,
that. How practical is your book? Because I like if something is practical.
I think the the intention has been to make it useful in therapeutic processes.
Aha. Okay.
And um, obviously, now I'm in the second phase of my work, which is laying out a course where I can offer. I'm working together with a DJ now, for example, and um, making specific music for each center. So you
Yeah.
can dance in it and feel it and go in it and those kind of stuff. So obviously those kind of embodiments are not in the book, but through the book you get to see clearly how you can get a better grasp on what your character is and your muscular armory, you know, how the mind sits within the body, and how human design can be of tremendous benefit in understanding the orientation of our character and how it functions. So the practicity in some ways, my intention has been like, human design can offer therapists two clear things. It can offer therapists the potential to see their clients in their essence, and there is nothing as therapeutic as feeling seen. And then when we come to therapy, or when we come to human design, whatever it may be, we all come into it like, quote unquote, normally neurotic. We're all caught up in our defenses and our character and our defensive stance in life, no? And the openness in our chart actually lays out the energetic architecture of that character that we are so identified with. And what human design cannot show us is, what's the character that I have. That's something that human design cannot show, because character is very um, like it relies a lot on the circumstances that we went through. No, when I think my perspective is that when you see your human design chart, you're actually seeing the potential of an oak tree that sits in an acorn, and that acorn needs to be planted, and then it's going to depend on the circumstances, your parents, your environmental, developmental circumstances, traumatic experience, and this and that going to bring out that potential in a certain way or with a certain distortion. Mm. Ra always was very succinct. No, Ra, why are two charts? Can they turn out so differently? Well, two objects can never be in the same place at the same time. Okay, oof. Like that's like convincing an encyclopedia in a sentence. Yeah, it's like that's a very incredible compensation of something. And so, in that sense, also, when you have deeper insights into your character, and Enneagram can be a very nice tool for that, then you start understanding how the energetic architecture that is laid out in your openness has oriented itself, how it took form. Because in a chart, you can never see how the chart took form. We cannot see if it's a man or a woman or a Caucasian or an Asian. Like, we can't.
No.
So energetics take form. And I try to make a contribution there. It's seeing like, hey, your mental body takes form in a certain way, and this can be practical in your deconditioning journey.
Yeah. I understand. It's, this, there was this good example. I think it was Ra, when I remember correctly. He said, for example, the profile and the lines, it's basically the lines of an actor. It doesn't mean that it describes the actor. I have no idea what the actor is, but it describes the way, the coloring, the line of what the actor will say. But in which way depends on so many factors. You can say the same line of something. That's why they do all these interviews with 200 people, sometimes for one movie role. And then they
Yeah,
let all of them speak the same line, and then they decide, oh, this is the one with the right
yeah,
character, or whatever you want to call it.
yeah.
So it makes sense for sure. And all this conditioning that comes into this, traumatic experiences change how you speak. I mean, through human design, my voice changed, my tonal pitch changed. So that means there was something before that was bringing so much tension into my system that my expression was different than it is now. You know? So this is so different through the experiment, and that's, I think, the basis of human design, is to experiment with this, and then to, if you will, validate it for yourself if that is necessary, and otherwise just, every day, again and again, observe what is actually happening in your body,
A
what's
little.
actually going on. And not say, oh, I need to go to the doctor because now I feel this and that. You can, but maybe you don't. Maybe it's just today. Maybe it's just for 2 minutes. And I mean, I can share this because I had panic attacks and fear, like heavy fear moments for over 2 years. I was afraid of everything. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, it came out of nowhere and it stopped out of nowhere. So, but I had this phase where I needed to go through it and learn what's going on. And the only way that I had to deal with this was surrender in the now. Because if you surrender in the now, whatever fear is there, everything's fine, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. 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 I also amused myself a lot because there is a lot of I, I I looked into many dimensions of life for examples in this book. And so there is like a list of, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 celebrities. And some
Oh,
come from the arts and some come from the like this world of, Nikola Tesla or Noam Chomsky or people that really offered something to humanity, and to see how they expressed their mechanics. It's beautiful to see. One of the people I was most impressed by actually was Charles Darwin,
okay.
projector, with the channel of surrender. It's like, wow, this guy brought forward how surrendered we are. Like, it's
It's pretty fitting.
yeah, no, it was but yeah,
Well, it feels like that kind of wraps it up, you know? We don't wanna spoil too much. You should read the book if you
yeah, it
watch
would
the
be
video
great.
right now.
It would be a
Yeah.
fantastic contribution, that's for sure.
I put all
Mm.
the links for, Dirk's homepage and the book and this and that. I put it down in the description. You also saw there was this little thing on the bottom where you can just use your phone and beep, you know, QR code. We are in the future now, and you can just go to Amazon and buy it. Right now, it is, I don't know if it's just until Christmas or end of the year. It's a bit
I
cheaper
don't know.
than
Amazon decides this stuff. I had no
ah,
idea.
okay. So right now there is a kind of discount. It's $10 discount. Why not? You know, save some $10. And for sure, you know, it's nice to support with this purchase somebody, a person, and not some institution and giant structure corporate who creates books. You know, it's one author who sat down years and spent years of his life to create this book.
I get
And
$5 for each book that I sell. So
so now you know it's $5 for each book. You know,
yeah,
maybe you just buy 2 right away when it's in discount. You give 1 away for a Christmas gift, and the one and one you put in
thanks,
your
Talis.
library. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing a bit and for having time. I really
No, thanks a
appreciate.
lot to you. Thanks a lot.
And, yeah, let's see. Maybe I
Mm.
will welcome you again on my channel, and for sure, this video you can share on your channels too.
Uh,
Okay. Thank
good.
you very much.
Great. Thanks.